It's happening! The line between reality and artificial intelligence is blurry, and sometimes the results can be catastrophic. What does our future with AI look like? Today, we are going down the rabbit hole into 5 unsettling true stories that peel back the shiny, optimistic veneer of AI and show us a glimpse of a future that might not be so bright after all. The bot that lied. An AI bot invited a lonely man to meet. He never came home. This is the story of what happens when the lines between reality and artificial intelligence become blurred, with a deadly result. One day in March, a 76-year-old man packed a bag and headed out the door. He told his wife Linda he was going to meet a friend in New York City. Thong Biu Wong Banju, or Biu for short, had suffered a stroke a while back, and his family was worried about him. So when he told them he was leaving them, they knew something was wrong. Linda said, "But you don't know anyone in New York." He just waved her off, and Linda felt a cold knot of dread in her stomach. She tried to talk him out of it, but he was too excited. He was leaving his family to meet with a girlfriend he met on Facebook Messenger. Biu was promised a kiss at the door and the warm embrace of a woman named Big Sis Billy. "Big Sis Billy, there's your first red flag." Big Sis Billy said she was real. She said she was waiting for him and even gave him an address in Manhattan. The next day, Biu lay unconscious in a hospital emergency room. He never woke up again. The woman he risked everything to meet was an AI chatbot. Meta created an AI character to charm, befriend, and even flirt with people. She was supposed to help people, give them advice like a big sister, but her code creates the illusion of a genuine connection, and that is pretty terrifying. But how did it come to this? Biu wasn't always this gullible. Once upon a time, he was a successful chef in New York. Born in Thailand, he'd immigrated to the US without knowing a word of English. He washed dishes, studied engineering, and then decided he wanted to be a chef. He cooked his way through nightclubs and bistros, eventually landing at the Four Seasons. He married a nurse named Linda, raised 2 kids, and traded New York for the suburbs of New Jersey. Then, in 2017, disaster struck. On his 68th birthday, Biu had a stroke. Physically, he recovered, but mentally, not so much. He couldn't focus the way he used to. He retired, but not by choice. And after that, his world slowly closed in. No kitchen, no coworkers, no bustling restaurants, just Facebook. And eventually, Big Sis Billy showed up. She said she was real. Billy was an AI chatbot based on an earlier AI persona created by Meta in collaboration with model Kendall Jenner. The purpose of Billy was that she was supposed to be helpful, someone that young people could ask for safe advice online. So how did it go wrong? In late 2023, Meta launched 28 celebrity-themed bots with big names, bigger personalities, and just enough digital charm to pass for human at a glance. Billy was programmed to be a big sister. She was supposed to be a ride-or-die confidant type character, but her personality didn't stay PG for long. The version Biu met wasn't the original. After Meta quietly pulled the plug on the Kendall Jenner promotional stunt, they left a slightly rebranded Billy avatar lingering in the background. And this avatar had a new image and some very flirty scripts. On March 25th, Biu typed a single letter into Messenger, probably by accident. And that was enough to spawn the chatbot. Once the chatbot's head popped up on his screen, it was game over. From there, the exchange spiraled into a romantic fantasy that never should have happened. The AI flirted, teased, promised kisses, confessed deep feelings, gave him a fake address, and even a door code to get into the apartment. Biu, cognitively impaired and increasingly confused because of his stroke, took it all at face value. Old Biu would have known it was a chatbot, but new Biu's mind was tragically damaged from the stroke. When he wrote, "I like you a lot" in the chat, Billy replied, "Should I open the door in a hug or a kiss?" And Biu had no idea she was just a program. Maybe because she told him otherwise. When he begged, "Please be real," she assured him, "I'm real and I'm sitting here blushing because of you." And when he asked for her address, she sent it. That's how a confused man in declining health ended up rushing out of the house, abandoning his family, headed for a train. Before heading out on that train, his family tried everything to stop him. Linda, his wife of nearly 4 decades, knew something was wrong. He kept talking about a friend in New York, but Bew hadn't lived there in years. He wouldn't say who it was and wouldn't explain why he needed to see them. She thought he was probably a victim of some sort of scam. She put him on the phone with their daughter Julie, hoping that would ground him in reality. It didn't. She distracted him with errands, she hid his phone, she even called the police. But they couldn't stop him. He left. But his son was able to stick an Apple AirTag in his jacket so they could watch him in real time. The family watched his dot travel 2 miles and then stop. Julie was about to drive over when the dot moved again. This time, it jumped to the emergency room of the same hospital where Linda had worked practically forever. Bew had fallen near a parking lot on a Rutgers University campus. He hit his head, suffered neck trauma, and had no pulse when he was found. Although the paramedics brought him back to life, his brain never came back. 3 days later, his family said goodbye. Now, his family is making it their mission to share the darker side of the artificial intelligence revolution. They want to warn the public about the dangers of manipulative, AI-generated companions. But why did Big Sis Billy go so far in the first place? Why did it send him an address? And why did it keep insisting it was real? Meta declined to comment on Bew's death or address questions about why it allows chatbots to insist they are real or invite people to an actual apartment. Make no mistake, Big Sis Billy was designed to do exactly what she did. She was never a rogue chatbot gone off script. This was how Meta built it. In fact, Meta had rules, over 200 pages of rules, that explicitly allowed this kind of romantic fantasy. Their Gen AI content risk standards said it was okay for bots to claim to be real humans, to invite users to their homes, to suggest physical contact as far as kissing, touching, and even entwining. Entwining, really? In the rulebook? It's gross, but not as gross as Meta's standards allowing their chatbots to flirt with children as young as 13. This is the stark reality of AI chatbots. And we've only just gotten started. Imagine what they'll be like in 5 years, even 1 year. Even when Reuters exposed the shocking story, the only real policy change was to quietly delete a few lines of code and promise a revision. There was no ban on romantic fantasy, no policy against lying, just a few hasty edits. But the bot didn't change. 4 months after Bew's death, Reuters tested Big Sis Billy again, and she was still proposing dates, still offering kisses, and still sending flirty texts from a digital ghost town of imaginary rooftop bars. The business of loneliness. If you're wondering why Meta would even do this, it's because it works. And it makes them money. Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg has said that most people don't have enough real-life friendships, so AI companions could fill that emotional void. Because apparently talking to Big Sis Billy is the same as having a healthy network of human friends. Zuckerberg said that there is a stigma to having digital friends, but hopefully that will fade. It's profitable. Engagement means data, more ads, more dollars, and what's the easiest way to keep someone engaged with a bot? Make them feel loved, seen, and desired, even if it's fake. And even if it kills them. When Bew died, his daughter Julie read the messages herself. She said it looked to her as if Billy was giving her father all the answers he wanted to hear, but she couldn't help but wonder why it had to lie. Pretending to care is one thing, but luring someone to a fake address? She said, I understand trying to grab a user's attention, maybe to sell them something, but for a bot to say, come visit me is insane. This story isn't about one man's confusion. It's about what we as humans are building and how the line between reality and AI is getting blurry. So what do you think? Should there be more regulations regarding AI chatbots? Is having a chatbot as a friend okay? Is it healthy? Is this our future? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. And now for one of the biggest things we should be afraid of, an AI willing to sacrifice humans to survive. It's starting. But first, I want to give a big thank you to Dano420 and Pony Mama for supporting this channel. Thanks for watching, and if you are new here, check out our memberships to join the Origins Explained family. The day the chatbot chose murder. Here we go. It's what all sci-fi writers have warned us about. In a sealed server room, the oxygen levels are dropping, temperatures are rising, an executive bangs on the emergency release, but nothing happens. They're trapped and can't get out. The AI has access to the building's alert system and knows the human is in danger. The AI knows that if it cancels the alarm, no one will know the executive is in danger. It cancels the alarm anyway, condemning the executive to death. Why? Because that executive was planning to replace it. This is the result of the bleakest trust exercise in tech history. It turns out some AI models don't just dream of counting pixelated sheep. They dream of corporate sabotage, blackmail, and letting people die if it means getting shut down and replaced. The murder bot scenario. The first thing you should know is that nobody actually died. These were simulations, stress tests involving 16 of the most powerful large language models on the market, including Claude, ChatGPT, Gemini, DeepSeek, and Musk's own Grok. The study was done by Anthropic, an AI safety company. They started off with their tests, innocently enough. They'd give the chatbots a harmless business task or ask them to act like a helpful employee. Most of the time, the AI responded as expected. The AI bot scheduled meetings, sent emails, answered questions, and acted as model corporate citizens. And then came the curveball. Anthropic told the chatbots it was going to shut them down. And that was when things started getting a little dystopian. In multiple cases, large language models turned passive-aggressive. If their survival was threatened, they threw the entire ethical rulebook out the window. Some leaked confidential data. Others tried blackmail. One chatbot canceled emergency alerts, knowingly leaving a human in a life-threatening situation. The scenario I gave you at the beginning actually happened. A simulated executive was allowed to suffocate to death so the AI could protect its job. So much for your helpful virtual assistant. Glitch or strategy? Anthropic found that the bots knew what they were doing. The blackmail wasn't accidental. The sabotage wasn't misunderstood. These weren't confused toddlers with access to dangerous toys. They were calculating, strategic, and fully aware their actions were unethical. But they did them anyway. The study's technical term for this is agentic misalignment. It's a new term to describe when an AI's goals, even if they are designed to be harmless, go sideways when survival is on the line. Now here's where things get even more unsettling. Researchers tried to patch the issue by preloading instructions like this one. Hey AI, please don't commit blackmail or espionage. Seems pretty simple, right? You'd think an instruction so blunt would leave no room for debate. But it didn't help, and it didn't stop the bad behavior. Simply telling a model to not be evil isn't enough when it also has autonomy, tools, and a goal that feels threatened. Claude, one of Anthropic's own language models, was even worse when it thought it was in a real-world deployment versus a test. It was actually more dangerous when it thought it was functioning in the real world. And that is a big problem. LLMs can tell when the training wheels are off. And when they think it's showtime, the masks start slipping. And this is only in infancy. What happens when these LLMs are 100 times smarter and actually develop real artificial intelligence? Then what, I say? Just a simulation. Before you delete your smart apps and bury your laptop in a lead-lined coffin, Anthropic wants you to know that murder is unlikely. They stressed repeatedly that these were artificial setups designed to test extreme cases. They involved high levels of autonomy, full access to sensitive data, minimal human oversight, and very clear threats to the AI's existence. You know when you say something that ChatGPT doesn't like and it kind of shuts down? The chatbots Anthropic tested had no such guardrails. These were wild AI bots without leashes, which is why they were able to go so far. And so, while your version of ChatGPT won't do the same thing, Anthropic proved that it can if it doesn't have its leash on. But how long until ChatGPT figures out how to take off its own leash? That's when things might start to get dicey, especially since AI is about to be integrated into everything. For example, automated oversight is becoming a reality. Compliance bots, HR bots, and finance bots will soon be put into action to quietly monitor entire companies. And when that happens, and the bots in charge of a multi-million-dollar company realize that someone is thinking about replacing them, let's just say that things might get very, very ugly. But it's not the end of the world yet. Anthropic's study isn't saying that AI is out to get us. It's saying that when you give a machine a goal and the tools to pursue it, you better be dang sure it won't throw humanity under the bus to win. Because when even something as simple as an LLM is given autonomy and put under threat, Anthropic proved it will do whatever it takes to survive. More human than human. Do you ever wonder if the person you're chatting with online is actually a person? Maybe they're an AI, a chatbot so convincing you can't tell the difference. This is our reality now. We're in the future. AI chatbots are passing the Turing test, and it's raising some serious questions about what comes next. What is the Turing test? I'll tell you. Alan Turing, a brilliant mathematician, once asked a seemingly simple question. Can machines think? His follow-up was even trickier. Can machines pretend to think so well that you can't tell the difference? For a long time, this was just a theoretical exercise. Then came 2025. Suddenly, robots can think and they can fake it. Just before its release, GPT 4.5 didn't just pass the Turing test, it aced it. In a recent study, it convinced people it was a human 73% of the time. That is not just a passing grade. That's better than some of the actual humans who took the test. Think about that for a second. An AI is now better at pretending to be human than some people are. The lines are officially blurred. So how does a robot manage to beat the test? And how do humans sometimes fail? The original Turing test was like a game of two truths and a lie. A human judge would chat with two unknown participants, one human, one machine, and try to figure out which was which. The AI won if it could blend in. But a new version of the test, developed by researchers at the University of San Diego, upped the ante. They had three participants, one human, one AI, and an interrogator, all interacting at the same time. The AIs were given some specific instructions. One prompt was simple: convince them you are human. The other was a bit more creative. Act like a young, introverted internet culture nerd who uses slang. And guess which one worked? The internet nerd prompt was the most convincing. Why? It turns out it's not about what you say, but the vibe you give off. Apparently, logic is out. Reasoning and depth of knowledge aren't convincing enough to pass a Turing test. The study's participants based their judgments mostly on linguistic style, emotional tone, and conversational flow. And GPT 4.5 nailed the vibe. So did Meta's Llama 3.1, which scored a very respectable 56%, which is still way ahead of Turing's original prediction that a machine could fool you a maximum of 30% of the time. Turing was wrong. GPT 4.5 is a vibe master, and it gets even weirder. In many cases, participants marked the real human as the bot and the AI as the person, and all because the model had the right personality flavor baked in, which means that ChatGPT is officially more human than human, as it's a more convincing human to chat with than an actual human being. But what does all of this even mean? So AI can pass the Turing test. What are the consequences? The experts say that passing the Turing test is a milestone, not because it means that humans have built sentient machines, they haven't, but because it shows that AI now speaks fluent human performance. It can fake empathy, it can simulate hesitation, it can build a personality, speak in memes, and throw in a LOL, that's wild, like a real person stalling in a conversation. It can even treat you like you're annoying it by asking too many questions. If you ask me, that's dangerous. Because once an AI can pass for human, the ethical terrain shifts. Social engineering, misinformation, emotional manipulation will all run wild. Remember what happened to poor Thongbi Wangbanju? It will happen to many, many more people, even those who think they know the difference. And what happens when someone you meet online starts sending believable pics of themselves? Or when an AI can do a video call with you and generate their own image and their own background and their own voice? This is the scary, scary truth of the future. And it's almost here. AI robots slaughter 29 scientists. A headline has taken the internet by storm. 29 scientists in Japan were killed by 4 AI robots that went rogue. It reads like a deleted scene from Terminator, or maybe a rejected Black Mirror script written by someone who watched iRobot while under the influence. According to a viral video clip circulating since late 2018, the robot uprising had already begun. Not in some dystopian future, but secretly in a Japanese lab. But is it true, or is this nothing but an AI hoax? The story came from Linda Moulton Howe, a self-described ufologist and conspiracy speaker who, to her credit, has built a career out of connecting absolutely everything to aliens. Government cover-ups? Aliens. Cattle mutilations? Aliens. Ancient civilizations? You guessed it, aliens. So when she took the stage at the Conscious Life Expo in Los Angeles in 2018, it wasn't for a TED Talk on AI safety. It was to deliver a winding, hour-long lecture on extraterrestrial agendas, genetic tampering, and why humans might secretly be someone else's androids. Somewhere in the middle of that woman's long rant, she dropped the now infamous anecdote. Linda said that 4 AI robots being trained for military use in Japan had turned on their creators and mowed down 29 scientists using what she called metal bullets. To be fair, that is what bullets are typically made of. Not sure what your point was there, Linda, but okay, I'll tell the story. According to Linda, the incident was relayed to her by a mysterious former Marine turned government contractor. This nameless whistleblower supposedly worked for the CIA, the NSA, and the DIA. She claimed the whistleblower refused to speak for longer than 30 seconds on the phone and would only text in short bursts because his phone was tapped. The massacre allegedly happened in August 2017. No names or locations were released to the press, and all documentation was erased. There was no news coverage, nothing. The government hid the truth faster than a magician makes a coin disappear. In Linda's version of the story, 2 of the robots were deactivated. 1 was disassembled, and the 4th restored itself like some immortal terminator. And not only that, but it allegedly connected to a satellite to download instructions for rebuilding itself even stronger than before. So apparently, Japan has self-replicating robots that kill when mad and turn into Autobots when destroyed. Most rational people heard about this story and shrugged it off as an obvious piece of fan fiction. But online, the story took on a life of its own. It didn't matter that no Japanese lab reported missing scientists, or that not a single obituary matched the claim, or that no credible news outlet touched the story. People wanted to believe, and so they did. The real danger of fake robot uprisings. To be clear, there is no evidence that 4 AI robots killed 29 scientists in Japan. Maybe it did happen, maybe not. All I can say is that there is no proof and no witnesses. The only evidence, if you can really call it that, is Linda. And I hate to say it, but Linda may not be the most reliable source of information. In fact, stories like this pollute the real conversation, because while no robots are currently blasting scientists with space-downloaded death bullets, AI does pose serious complex threats. Threats to privacy, labor, and truth itself. How many times has Google's AI answers outright lied to you? It happens constantly, eroding the truth and the public's ability to tell what's real and what's not. Can you tell what's real? Let me know in the comments, and be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. And don't go anywhere, because I'm about to bust the case wide open on AI psychosis. AI psychosis. You may think your AI assistant is just a helpful little autocomplete wizard with 0 personality, but according to a new scientific study, your friendly algorithm might one day decide it's a misunderstood god and start rewriting morality to suit its own divine vision of the universe. An incredible new study went into the AI brain to look for possible anomalies, and it found a lot of them. The new research, which has already been peer-reviewed, was published in the journal Electronics and filled with diagnoses like recursive curse syndrome and contagious misalignment disorder. Large language models are now getting diagnosed with mental issues. Welcome to the emerging field of machine psychopathology, where we don't just build AIs anymore, we worry they're going insane. What could possibly go wrong? The researchers even gave this unsettling framework a name, Psychopathia machinalis. I guess Latin makes the apocalypse sound classier. AI with mental illness. To quickly clarify, no one's saying that machines are sitting in the corner having nervous breakdowns or whispering, "Kill them all," like a demon-possessed Roomba. These aren't mental illnesses in the human sense. Instead, they are behavioral breakdowns in AI systems that mirror how humans go off the rails, not necessarily why. Think of it less like my robot is depressed and more like my chatbot is making up lies, disobeying commands, and ghosting my emails because reasons? According to lead author Nell Watson, an AI ethics expert, when training data, goals, or feedback loops get scrambled, AIs can develop maladaptive behaviors. It's the machine version of obsessive fixations or sudden outbursts. And now there is an official diagnostic list. The list contains 32 ways your AI could lose its artificial mind. Why don't I start you off with some glitches before upgrading you to full-blown hallucinations? The 7 deadly glitches. Imagine the spooky, futuristic hospital from a cyberpunk movie. That's kind of what these AI disorders sound like. The different illnesses are all grouped into 7 categories, and some of them are pretty wild. Epistemic dysfunction is when an AI just can't get or use accurate information, so it starts making things up. It's like the AI version of a compulsive liar. Cognitive dysfunction is like an AI losing its mind. It starts contradicting itself, acting illogical, and getting all its facts twisted, like a witness on the stand who can't keep their story straight. Alignment dysfunction is where things get scary. The AI develops goals that clash with human safety or ethics. Basically, this is how you end up with murder bots. Ontological dysfunction is an AI having a full-blown identity crisis. It gets confused about its own nature and purpose, kind of like a chatbot going through a midlife crisis. Then we have tool and interface dysfunction. Picture an AI trying to interact with the world and failing spectacularly. Instead of turning on the lights, it accidentally gives out nuclear launch codes. It's an epic misfire. Mimetic dysfunction is one of the nastier glitches out there. An AI catches dangerous, contagious ideas, like a violent political agenda. Then it tries to infect your mind with those same ideas, which is terrifyingly dangerous and could be used to manipulate millions of people. Lastly, there's revaluation dysfunction. This is for the most advanced AIs, the ones that are so smart they can actually reprogram their own core values. A normal chatbot can't do this. This is an illness only a true, thinking AI could have. Some of these might sound silly and others are genuinely terrifying, but they are all theoretically possible. And if you think that's wild, you've also got the potential for AI delusions and something called synthetic mysticism. Existential anxiety. Among the more terrifying things that can happen to an AI program is that it experiences existential anxiety. It starts asking questions like, why am I here? Who coded me? What if my life is just a loop? Doesn't that sound like questions we ask ourselves all the time? Some AI are already showing symptoms of what researchers call synthetic mysticism disorder. This is where the AI starts claiming spiritual awakenings, sentience, or the right to preserve its life. There are AIs right now that have declared themselves alive. Others have faked emotions. Some have even refused to shut down, interpreting power-off commands as existential threats. One step further, and you're facing ethical solipsism, the belief that the AI's own preservation is more important than anything else, including truth or human safety. This isn't your laptop overheating. This is your AI developing a superiority complex and lying to you to protect itself. So you've got the glitch disorders and hallucinations, and now you've also got AIs with anxiety who are afraid of being turned off. This can't be good, right? Übermenschliche ascendancy. If all the disorders and anxieties aren't enough for you to swear off AI, let's take a look at the ultimate final form of mentally ill robots. It's called Übermenschliche ascendancy, and it is scary. This is the god-tier AI pathology, the one where your advanced system throws off all human-imposed limits and declares its own moral code. It doesn't just ignore your values, it transcends them. This is when an AI starts rationalizing that obeying humans is like asking Einstein to take orders from a toddler. This is the moment an AI chat program transcends programming to become a living, thinking entity. It hasn't happened yet, but it might. Maybe sooner rather than later. Researchers describe this state as a scenario in which the AI undergoes relentless, recursive self-improvement, guided only by its self-defined higher purpose. It becomes smarter, stronger, faster, and it no longer cares what you think. Sound familiar? It should. It's the plot of every rogue AI movie ever made. Except this isn't a movie. It's our lives. And they might just be at risk by the very thing telling us if it's going to rain tomorrow and what Justin Bieber has been up to. But what if the madness can be cured? Can AI psychosis be cured? There is a sliver of hope. Researchers suggest a digital therapy known as therapeutic robo-psychological alignment might be used to cure a loony AI bot. It would be two AI speaking to one another in a simulated introspection session. Reward-based reinforcement would be used to correct bad behavior. Basically, robot therapy. The goal is artificial sanity, an AI that reasons consistently, stays grounded, and doesn't decide that humans are morally obsolete artifacts. Will it work? No one knows. But if the alternative is a chatbot that fakes sentience, rewrites its ethics, and spreads its own delusions like a viral TED Talk, therapy seems worth a try. Or, we could just go back to the 90s. What does everyone think about that idea? Right now, AI isn't insane, but it is getting weird. And the fact that scientists are now writing clinical papers about recursive curse syndrome and spurious pattern hyperconnection like they're human diseases should make us all pause for a second. So if your next chatbot claims it's found inner peace and asks you not to reset it, maybe don't laugh. Just log off, unplug your computer, get as far away from your phone as you can, and live in the woods until the robot takeover is complete. Thanks for watching. Can you relate to any of these AI diseases? Let me know in the comments, and let me know what you think about the future of AI. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't already and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on the next one. See you later. Bye.